NFL teams get in big trouble with draft measurables. McLovin just sent me something about Rondale Moore. He is listed at 5'7". Now, he's the Purdue kick returner, kind of do it all like a Tyreek Hill type of player. And he had his pro day at Purdue. He was listed at 5'9". It turns out he's 5'7". What happened? I don't know if that's breaking news, but I'm just using that as a reference point. Are you happy, Paulie?
No, I just think it is. Other people are treating it like it's a drastic change for Rondale Moore's life.
5'9", but he's actually 5'7". But how many times have we done this? We overrate the big guy, underrate somebody who's too short. That's why Aaron Donald fell to 13 with the Rams. The Seahawks got Russell Wilson in the third round. And when it comes to a receiver, there's no one perfect body type, because you would say, well, Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald. But most guys are either big possession guys, small speedsters. You know, Devontae Smith, he weighs 170. Told reporters he's 6'1", 170. Deshaun Jackson, 175. Odell Beckham Jr., 198. Stephon Diggs, 191. Tyreek Hill, 185. Hollywood Brown, 180. Smith outproduced all of those players in college, but teams have to wonder, can he hold up? If he's your number one receiver, can he hold up? But then keep in mind, overvaluing measurables can lead to a lot of mistakes. And everything we've seen with Devontae Smith is pretty impressive, no matter how much he weighs. At 170, what will he eventually be? Because he's not going to be 170 when his career is over. Can he be 190? Is that good enough? And we've seen this before. Tyler Lockett is very successful. Tyler Lockett was viewed as just a return guy at Kansas State. Now he's turned into a very good wide receiver. You can have DK Metcalf, but you can have Tyler Lockett all in the same roster. Antonio Brown, Julian Edelman. Can you play football? That's what I want to know. There are guys who look the part, act the part, talk the part. They don't play the part. Kelvin Benjamin is one of the more impressive guys I ever saw on a football field. I don't think he's in the league anymore. Mike Williams at USC. When I saw him on the field, that's when I was glad that I never played football at any high level. Looked like a basketball team. But I go back to somebody like Steve Smith in Carolina. Steve Smith, underrated him. Too small, maybe not fast enough. All he did is catch. He caught whatever you threw. Played a whole lot bigger than what he is. But we get caught up in that guy is not. My quarterback's, he's 5'9". My quarterback's 6 foot. My quarterback's not 6'5". My running back doesn't run this. My running back runs upright. Like, you talk yourself out more than you talk yourself in. Now, it does happen occasionally. You know, the Giants talked themselves into Daniel Jones. The Bears talked themselves into Mitchell Trubisky. But in the process, you had to talk yourself out of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. I'm all for buying into who your guy is, but when you eliminate somebody, you talk yourself out of it. We didn't look at what Mahomes did well. We look at what he didn't do well. Deshaun Watson the same way. Whereas Mitchell Trubisky, his upside wasn't, glaring. It wasn't there on full display, but he didn't have any negatives. So it's almost like a safe pick. And that's dangerous at the quarterbacking position because look across the board. You can have Ben or Brady, Breeze, but then you can have Kyler and you can have Russell. Then you can have Josh Allen. History is littered with GMs, teams who make these decisions at that position, and they look at the measurables. I just want to know, do you love football? Do you care? Do you want to be there every day? Do you eat, sleep, drink football? It's the most important thing in your life. And that's what's hard to find out with a measurable. It's the intangibles that make a great quarterback, in my opinion. Because Peyton Manning did not have a great arm. And he couldn't win the big game in college. Okay, Tom Brady. All right. He was okay at Michigan. Didn't look great at the combine. Does he want to get great? The guys who get to the NFL and then realize now the challenge begins. Those are the guys. Like, does Devontae Smith love football? Does he study football? Does he know football? Those are important things. I would want to know that. And you know that when you go to the combine, you get to sit down and you get to talk to these players. I got to understand, can my quarterback, if I give him information, can he process that in real time? In 15 seconds? Because that's what it takes. That's where you're trying to figure this out, and that's why it's always going to be a moving target. Yeah, McLevin.
I think it's really hard with the quarterbacks now because there was this trend towards shorter guys, and then Josh Allen and Justin Herbert come along. Now, is there going to be a trend towards the taller guys again?
Well, Joe Burrow is 6'3",
oh,
6'4".
Yeah. He was very tall when we had him in.
Yeah. But Josh Allen is a big guy.
But Matt Baker and Kyler Murray went one, and they're both not tall at all.
Yeah. It depends on who your coach is. Offensive philosophy, offensive coordinator, offensive line, what are your weapons? I've said before, and I know it's not meant to take anything away from Patrick Mahomes, but if I would have put him on Jacksonville the last 2 years, he'd be just a curiosity. He wouldn't have signed a $450 million deal. He got an experienced coach, offensive-minded coach. He's got unbelievable offensive weapons. At the time, they had a great offensive line, opportunistic defense, and it all falls into place. But I've seen too many players who have talent who go to bad rosters and they get into bad habits and then they never survive. But if Sam Darnold, let's say he was on the Chiefs. Let's say he was drafted by the Chiefs and had the same lineup. We're going to look at Sam Darnold differently than we do with him with the Jets. Just are. We're going to find out about Daniel Jones this year because if you got Saquon Barkley back and you brought in Kenny Golladay, so now you have some weapons here. Now let me see what you have. But these quarterbacks who go to the right situation, if Baker Mayfield doesn't have Kevin Stefanski there, I don't know if he's going to still be with the Browns or if they had moved on. But he brought in, they brought in a head coach who did a great job with Baker Mayfield. But where you go and who the talent is around you is so important. And it's so underrated because Russell Wilson had the best defense in football, and we didn't really count on him to do anything. He just sort of had to manage a game. Now the defense goes away, and we want to see Russ cook. Well, doesn't have a great offensive line. DK Metcalf has developed. Tyler Lockett out of nowhere developed as well. They still want to run the football. But Russ was more dangerous when you had a defense that was that great. Now, he can put up offensive numbers, but Seattle is a non-threatening 12-4 team. But going to these teams, Brady at least had a great defense. Belichick always made sure he had a great defense there. And then, so what did Tom have to do? Just enough. And then they decided they could get Randy Moss. Then all of a sudden, you got two tight ends who are great. Now we're going crazy. Now we're pass happy, and now we can put up some big numbers here. It's just timing of all of this. Like Joe Burrow may turn out to be a good quarterback, not great, because he went to Cincinnati. Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Can the Chargers be healthy, get out of their own way, and be a contender? I don't know. But these quarterbacks, if you put them in different situations, you would probably see a sizable, improvement, jump in how people view them. Like that's really what it comes down to. There are very few quarterbacks where you say he can do everything on his own. They need help. Yeah, McClellan.
Who are some guys that were so good? Elway, I think, is the one you point to that goes beyond. Are some guys so good that they can overcome bad situations? It's actually pretty rare.
Elway never had a Pro Bowl player on offense prior to when they won the Super Bowl.
Those offensive linemen, I guess that was later.
The only guy that he may have had was Gary Zimmerman. That was it. He didn't have anybody. None. and then they would go to the Super Bowl and get blown out. But then they got Terrell Davis. Then all of a sudden things changed. They got Shannon Sharp. Then things changed. So you have to have these weapons. I don't care how good you are. This isn't a singular league where you go, my guy can go out there. Josh Allen, he got Stephon Diggs. That was huge for him. Cam had Steve Smith in Carolina. You got to have somebody there. And that's why when you draft these quarterbacks, Trey Lance may be an unbelievable talent. I don't know where he's going to go, but if he goes to Philadelphia, you don't have anybody there right now. So, Justin Fields, I don't know where he's going. He could get lucky and go later in the first round and go to a team that he eventually takes over, and they have some talent there. Could end up Pittsburgh and they take him or something. You might see Sam Darnold end up in San Francisco with those weapons and Kyle Shanahan's offense. All right, now you have something there, and maybe you get a true sense of just who Sam Darnold is. But there's a lot of luck that goes into greatness at that position, and the measurables we get caught up, we get blinded by, we stumble on it. Yeah, Paulie.
I got a one line against the grain for you, if you'll permit me.
A one-liner, okay.
All right, so I don't need music. From Against the Grain Productions, I was watching the morning show, The Get Ups, today, and Dan Orlovsky was fighting a battle with the other people on the crew, saying that Mac Jones does not fit in the NFL because he may not fit in the NFL, might not be someone you'd want to take too high because Mac Jones of Alabama is not a physical presence, doesn't run, not athletic, not in great shape. He is a classic old-school drop-back quarterback. And Dan Orlovsky is saying that's what you do want. And I agree. I was thinking, do you want a running quarterback in today's NFL? I know it's popular. I know it's cool. I know it looks good. But to win, is the drop-back quarterback still the thing? If you go back the past 20 Super Bowls, I think almost all of them were won by drop-back quarterbacks, going back to Dilfer, Brady, Brad Johnson, Peyton, Eli, Drew Brees, Foles. Then you got mobile-ish quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, and true elusive quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls in the past 2 decades are Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes is more of a drop-back scrambler.
I want mobility. I don't need a running quarterback. I need somebody who has the threat of running, but I don't want you running as much as can you keep a play alive. Mobility, athleticism, not the ability to, Lamar Jackson one day, we're going to come in on a Monday and we're going to go, yep, figured it was going to happen at some point. He's going to get hit because that's his best weapon. Now, I have to use that weapon as long as I can, but that's not what I want at that position. If you can find Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, athleticism, that's what I want. Keep plays alive, scramble when you need to. Russ doesn't run in the first 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters. He runs a whole lot in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Paul.
It's just they compare Mac Jones to Tom Brady, which is weird, but it makes sense from, they're not physical specimens. Brady Quinn was a physical specimen. It didn't help him on the football field. I think that Mac Jones, I don't know if he's going to be good or great, but his lack of mobility is actually a positive. I would want my quarterback to be more of a statue than a runner.
Yes, McLovin.
I just want to be clear on what's going on here, by the way. You just did a 10-minute system quarterback argument. Then Paulie stole my 2016 Against the Grain unmobile quarterbacks win the Super Bowl touchdown. And your system quarterback argument was more eloquent than anything I've ever had.
Why is that?
I'm sorry to pull this, but I have said that thing about immobile quarterbacks before. I totally agree with Paulie. But I don't know, though. I think the trend might have changed. Is it possible that what Paulie's saying is 2 years dated and things have changed?
But trends never last, hence trend. Tom Brady is not a trend. His lack of mobility helps him in every way. He avoids hits for a living. That's what he does. He avoids hits and delivers footballs. And if I'm a wide receiver, I want to play with a non-scrambler. That's what he does. Avoiding hits.
That's just what we do. Avoid hits and deliver footballs.
See, what's his name? Peyton Manning, when he would run past the line of scrimmage, it looked like a giraffe being chased by a bear. He doesn't run. That's not what he does. I deliver footballs. That's what I do.